G'day, welcome to iCULTIVATE. Today we're going to be looking at making a carry tray, the sort of tray that is suitable for collecting the veggies from the garden and carrying them into the kitchen ready for preparation. In order to make this carry tray, I'm going to recycle a bit of timber that I have left over from a previous project. This is a bit of tongue and groove that I previously used to make some shelving and a desk. So I'm going to make the most of having these offcuts and turn them into something useful. What I've done so far is I've taken each of my timber offcuts and I've first of all ripped them down into the width that I wanted, and then the second thing I've done is I've cut them into the lengths that I want for my carry tray. You'll notice that the ends are wider than the lengths. The reason for this is because I'm going to shape the ends of these, and I'm going to cut them in a moment with a bandsaw in order to provide a nice shape to the ends, and this is where we're going to form the carry handles of my carry tray. So anyway, we'll get on to that next. Right, now I'll finish this off a little bit and give it a bit of a tidy up with a sand. Now that I've completed this end, I can use this as a template to mark out the other end of the carry tray and then put it through the exact same process. Right, so now I've got my two end pieces and also my two side pieces. What I'm going to do now is to create the outside frame of my carry tray, and I'm going to join the ends using dovetail joints. So the first thing that I now need to do, or the next thing that I now need to do, of course, is to cut out the sections for the dovetail joints. And I'm going to start first of all with the dovetails, which will be on the ends, the end pieces of my carry tray. This is the piece that the dovetail will be on. The depth of the dovetail needs to be the width of the other piece of wood, the side piece of wood for my carry tray. So what I'm going to use or do is use this piece of wood as a template for that width. And I'll do the same on the other side. And there we have the width, or the depth that that actual dovetail is going to be. The next thing I need to do is to work out exactly where the dovetails are going to be. On this bit of timber I'm going to have two on each end, and the first thing I'm going to do is to find the centre of this bit of timber. So there's the centre. And then of course each dovetail will be equidistant either side of the centre. Okay, so I've marked out the edges of the dovetail there. Now what I'm going to do is to use a bevel in order to measure or to mark the dovetail itself. I like my dovetails to be somewhere in the region of about 20 degrees or 70 degrees, depending upon which way you're looking at it. It's always a little bit difficult to know which way these things go around. And so there I've got the dovetail actually marked out on this bit of timber, and I'll now do the same thing on the other end. The way in which I'm doing my dovetails is probably something that the purists would shudder over, but I find, as you will see, the ultimate result is very effective and very tidy. What I'm going to now do is to cut out these dovetails that we've just marked, and I'm going to once again use my bandsaw to do that. It ultimately produces a very tidy cut. So now I've got the dovetails cut on each end of this carry tray. What I now need to do is to cut the female section of the dovetail in the side pieces, and I'm going to actually use the dovetails as the template for measuring these out. Okay, the process for doing this is as simple as just clamping the side into a vise, and then placing the side onto that and using them as a template. You'll notice that I've actually marked the side here with the letter A, and at the other end I've marked B, and so on. The reason for that is because if I'm using these for a template for this side, there will be ever so slight differences between each corner, and so therefore it's important that I am able to match them up once I've cut them. And there we have it. The only other thing that I need to do is to remember the depth, and once again I'm going to use this bit of timber here in order to act as a template for that depth. And there we have it. So I'll just make sure I mark that a bit more clearly. Now I'll mark down the side lengths. And the same on the other side. Let's get my template for the length, or the width I should say. And there we have it. Now I'm going to take this to the bandsaw and once again cut these out. The last stage of this is to take out the angled section of this part of the dovetail. like so. Always remember, you can always take a little bit extra out, but you can't put it back. So just keep that in mind, and we progress through and do this for all of them. Right, so now we've got the dovetails cut, we've got them now in place. The only thing left to do now is to glue them, clamp them, and to leave them for about 24 hours. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'm going to call it quits for the night, and come back tomorrow, and we will put the bottom onto the tray. And of course we will cut the handles out as well. See you tomorrow. Okay, well, since last night, what I've done is simply glued, clamped, let it sit for about 24 hours, and now the glue is dried. I've taken the clamps off, and you can see that we now have a box without a base, of course, but this will of course become our carry tray. What I've also done is, in the ends here, I've cut a couple of holes simply for fingers in order to carry. Now, I've used a hole saw to cut these, but you could have just easily used a jigsaw or a similar type of saw that you could use for cutting such a hole. It's quite really up to you, and up to you what type of hole you would like to have here for carrying. But anyway, what we now need to do is to move on to actually putting the base on. So we'll start that now. In order to add the base to this carry tray, I'm going to add the centre section first. The reason for that is because this carry tray is in fact only just a rough carry tray. It's only intended for garden use, and so therefore it won't be perfectly square. By adding the centrepiece first, that enables me to then place the outer pieces and sand or plane them to length, that way providing a nice clean edge on the outside. If I had in fact added the outer pieces first, it would have been a little bit more awkward in order to achieve that nice clean finish on the outside, given that the tray won't necessarily be perfectly square. So let's add this centrepiece first now. In order to add this centrepiece, I'm going to simply glue and nail it. So I'm going to add a little bit of PVA glue to where that centrepiece is located. And then I'll simply locate it in the middle, like so, and then nail. So you can see I've now got two pieces on, and I'm just going to add the final piece now. Ensuring that I'm happy with the gap between the pieces, and I am. And then nail it home. Right, so now we've got the bottom nailed home and each piece of timber in place. Just need to wipe off some of the excess PVA glue with a damp cloth. Remember, PVA is water soluble, so therefore we can wipe it off with a damp cloth. That's extremely important, because if you don't, whatever finish that you choose to put onto the final product can be affected by any of that excess PVA. So it's important to remove it, and as I said, you can do so with a damp cloth. Okay, once we've done that, it's now just a matter of trimming up the edges just so that we have a nice clean tidy finish, and then applying whatever finish that we choose to put onto this tray. Anyway, let's get that done. So here's the finished product. The only thing we now need to do is to apply a final finish to this. In my particular case, I'm going to give it a good old-fashioned shellac. But you could choose to paint it or use a clear lacquer. It's really up to you. It's up to personal preference. But I like good old-fashioned shellac. If there are any comments that you have that you would like to leave about this video, we'd really appreciate that you do that through either the YouTube channel or alternatively go to our website iCULTIVATE.net. Thanks for listening.